vision, vacuum, direction, drift. Those 8 words, written by a cabinet minister, about his own prime minister, published today, and read by every political journalist, every Labour MP, every world leader, within minutes of hitting the internet. Wes Streeting has resigned. The Health Secretary, the man who was supposed to be one of the most loyal members of Starmer's cabinet, the man who sat around that table every week, the man who defended Starmer on television, in Parliament, in interview after interview, gone this morning, with a letter that will be studied in political history classes for decades. But here is the thing that nobody is telling you. Because the resignation, as explosive as it is, was only the beginning. Because in the 3 hours after Streeting walked out of Downing Street, 3 things happened that have completely changed the landscape of British politics. 3 things that, taken together, mean that Keir Starmer's time as Prime Minister is now measured not in years, not in months, but possibly in days. I am going to tell you all 3, but I am going to build to them, because the story of today needs to be understood in order, and it starts with the letter. Let me take you through Streeting's resignation letter, because it is not just a resignation. It is a verdict, a public verdict, on the record, from someone who knows exactly what happens inside Downing Street. And it is devastating. He opened by saying he was proud to have stood alongside Starmer in the 2024 election, that he admired Starmer's courage and statesmanship on the world stage, not least in keeping Britain out of the war in Iran. He acknowledged the NHS achievements, waiting times cut, a health service on the road to recovery. And then, having given Starmer every possible credit, he delivered the blow. There are many reasons we could point to, from individual mistakes on policy like the decision to cut the winter fuel allowance to the Island of Strangers speech, all of which have left the country not knowing who we are or what we really stand for. The Island of Strangers speech, the winter fuel cut, named directly by a cabinet minister, in a public letter, and then the 8 words that stopped Westminster cold. Where we need vision, we have a vacuum. Where we need direction, we have drift. Vision, vacuum, direction, drift. He then said something that Starmer will have found even more painful than the insults. He said, on the record, that it is now clear that you will not lead the Labour Party into the next general election. Not, I think you should resign. Not, you have made mistakes. But, it is clear that you will not lead Labour into the next election. Past tense. Done. Decided. And then, the final line that made every Labour MP reading it reach for their phone. He said, it needs to be broad, and it needs the best possible field of candidates. I support that approach, and I hope that you will facilitate this. I hope that you will facilitate this. He is asking Starmer, in his resignation letter, to organise his own replacement, to step aside gracefully and make way for whoever comes next. That is not a resignation. That is a public execution. And it happened this morning. But here is what happened in the 3 hours afterwards. And this is where it gets truly extraordinary. Within hours of Streeting's letter landing, Angela Rayner made her move. Rayner, the former Deputy Prime Minister who was forced to resign from the cabinet last year over an unpaid tax dispute on her Brighton home, announced today that HMRC has cleared her of any wrongdoing. She said, in a statement, I welcome HMRC's conclusion, which has cleared me of any wrongdoing. I set out to pay the correct amount of tax. I took reasonable care and acted in good faith, based on the expert advice I received, and HMRC has accepted this. Cleared of any wrongdoing. Today, on the same day Streeting resigned. And in an interview with ITV News, filmed within the hour, she refused to rule out standing in a leadership contest. She said she would play whatever role I can to deliver the change. She said voters were frustrated with the way the government was being run. She said Starmer should reflect on his position. Reflect on his position. From Angela Rayner, the woman who was, until September, his Deputy Prime Minister. Now, think about the timing for a moment. HMRC cleared Rayner today, the same day Streeting resigned. the same day the leadership race effectively began. Is that a coincidence? Maybe. But in Westminster, as any experienced political observer will tell you, there are very few coincidences. Rayner is cleared. Streeting has resigned. And now, the most extraordinary development of the day. Because something happened in the last hour that nobody saw coming. Stay with me. Josh Simons. Remember that name. Because what he did this afternoon is one of the most extraordinary acts of political sacrifice in modern British history. Josh Simons is the Labour MP for Gorton and Denton, a seat in Greater Manchester. He was elected just 2 years ago. He has a majority. He has a career. He has a future in Parliament. And today, he announced he is resigning his seat. Not from the party. Not from his role. His seat. In Parliament. Gone. By choice. Why? To give Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Greater Manchester, a route back to Westminster. A by-election in a safe Labour seat in Manchester. The one thing that has been blocking Burnham from entering the leadership race. The one hurdle that his supporters could not clear. Until today. Think about what Simons has just done. He has sacrificed his own career, his own seat in Parliament, the thing that every politician spends years fighting for, so that his preferred candidate can run for Prime Minister. That is not politics. That is loyalty of a kind you almost never see. And it tells you everything about how serious, how organized, the movement to replace Starmer has become. This was not spontaneous. This was planned, coordinated, executed on the same day as Streeting's resignation and Rayner's clearance. 3 things. In 3 hours. All pointing in the same direction. And there is one more thing. One final detail that ties it all together. And when I tell you what it is, you will understand why today is the day that Starmer's premiership effectively ended. Step back from the individual stories. Step back from Streeting's letter and Rayner's clearance and Simon's sacrifice. And look at what today means in its totality. For the last week, since the local election disaster, Starmer has been insisting he will fight on. That he will not resign. That he will lead Labour into the next election. That changing leaders now would plunge Britain into chaos. And until today, that argument had some force. Because no single cabinet minister had broken ranks. Because no clear alternative had emerged. Because the opposition was vocal but uncoordinated. Today, all 3 of those things changed. Simultaneously. Streeting broke ranks. From the cabinet. Publicly. With a letter that will define the narrative for weeks. Rayner emerged as a cleared, credible, ready candidate, within hours. And Burnham, the candidate who polls show would beat Starmer 53% to 37% among Labour members, now has a path back to Parliament. 3 candidates. All moving. All on the same day. And here is the number that makes Starmer's position truly untenable. To trigger a formal leadership contest, any challenger needs 81 Labour MPs to nominate them. That is 20% of the parliamentary party. As of this morning, 90 Labour MPs had publicly called for Starmer to resign. 90. 9 more than the threshold needed to trigger a contest. The numbers are there. The candidates are ready. The path is clear. The only question left, the only thing standing between now and a formal leadership contest, is which of the 3 candidates moves first to collect those 81 names. And here is what Starmer said this afternoon when asked about all of this. The response that tells you everything about how isolated he has become. Starmer responded today. Of course he did. He said he was sorry that Streeting had resigned. He praised his hard work. He pointed to the NHS waiting times that had been cut under Streeting's watch. And then, in a move that his own allies are privately describing as a mistake, he said he intended to fight any leadership challenge. That he would take the fight to the country. That changing leaders now would risk plunging Britain back into chaos. Chaos. That word again. The word Starmer reaches for every time he is under pressure. But here is the problem. The people of Wigan, who gave Reform 24 of 25 council seats, do not think the chaos is coming from a leadership change. They think the chaos is already here. Under Starmer. In their communities. In their cost of living. In their streets. And Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, went on television to back Starmer. She said, "Don't put the economy at risk by plunging the country into chaos." The Chancellor of the Exchequer, whose own position is reportedly under threat, going on television to defend a Prime Minister who, according to his own Health Secretary, has left the country with no vision and no direction. One Labour MP, Jonathan Brash from Hartlepool, whose wife lost her council seat last week, said it perfectly. He posted on X, "The call for a broad contest with the best possible field of candidates is absolutely right from Wes Streeting. The Prime Minister should now do the right thing for the country and set a timetable. Set a timetable. For his own departure. From his own MPs. Again." And tonight, the Green Party leader Zach Polanski added the moment of dark comedy that every political crisis eventually produces. He said of Streeting, "If Labour thinks Wes Streeting is the answer, they obviously don't know the question the country is asking." They don't know the question the country is asking. From the Green Party leader. About a Labour leadership race. That hasn't even officially started yet. That is where British politics stands tonight. Here is my honest assessment of today. Keir Starmer is still Prime Minister tonight. He has not resigned. He has vowed to fight. He has the backing of enough cabinet ministers to hold the line, for now. But here is what has changed today that cannot be unchanged. A cabinet minister has resigned and called his leadership a vacuum. His former deputy, cleared of wrongdoing, has signalled she is ready to run. An MP has given up his parliamentary seat so that a third candidate can enter the race. And the numbers to trigger a formal contest are already there. Where we need vision, we have a vacuum. Where we need direction, we have drift. Those words are now permanently attached to Keir Starmer's name. Every headline, every news package, every political discussion for the next weeks and months. In British politics, when your own cabinet minister writes those words about you, you do not recover. You may survive for a while, but you do not recover. The question is no longer if. It is when. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Starmer resigns before the end of May, yes or no? Drop it in the comments right now. Because I think by the time you read this, the answer might already be clear. Subscribe if you believe Britain deserves better than this. Because millions of people do. I'll see you when he goes.